4 months ago, I came onto YouTube to announce that I'd finally got into private equity. Super ecstatic about finally getting into my dream role and crafting the perfect nothing to something story for you guys to eat up on social media. So let's take it back to basics. What does private equity or PE actually mean? Well, which, by the way, if you haven't, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. Anyways, what I didn't tell you guys was that this isn't the role I actually wanted in private equity. However, I'm somewhat a man of principles, and in order to stick to my beliefs of no failures, I decided to look at the silver linings. At least I was in private equity. This was a respectable fund, and the list of rationalizations goes on. However, the fact of the matter was that I had a specific goal and I didn't achieve it. Therefore, I failed, which isn't a bad thing, but I drafted that I'm excited to announce post on LinkedIn with maximum efficiency and crafted a success story that managed my ego and then came online to deliver it to you guys with little to no context on the actual realities. So in this video, I'll be taking you through the 3 jobs that I really wanted in private equity and didn't get, why I failed at getting those jobs, what I would have done differently, and the lessons learned. During my hiatus from the working world, I've been reflecting on the values I want to embody as an individual. One of those values is transparency. I do want to be more transparent and just not necessarily vulnerable on the channel, but just really being real. And yeah, hope you guys like this video. So I was reading a book by Robert Kiyosaki called Before I Quit My 9 to 5. That's a story for another day. But there was a question on page 24 that asked the reader, what are your biggest failures? Now, I've always been someone that believes I can never fail. Contrary to what every single billionaire tells you about needing to fail before you make it in life,
I am not a lizard.
I just don't really subscribe to that lifestyle, to be honest. Failure is not really my thing. And that's because all my life, when I want to achieve something, I set a goal, work towards it, and then boom, I achieve it. No failures whatsoever. Until I got a job in private equity, probably my biggest L to date. Now, this may sound like a joke, but I kid you not, that's probably my biggest failure so far. And I'll tell you why in a second. But in today's modern society, social media is a perfect highlight reel for the glamorization of achievements, the high life, infinite enjoyments, and no L's, just W's. Even the so-called billionaires that talked about failure being required to succeed only show you their L's once they've actually made it in life.
Yay West, hot, fire.
Yo, this 21 years in the making.
I'm not gonna say it's not a way I could fail, but hopefully with God's blessings, there shouldn't be no way for me to lose.
I'm not proud to say this, but I too am an avid promoter of utilizing social media as a highlight reel to showcase my achievements with little to no context on the full truths, struggles, and realities of said achievements. But today, all of that changes because I'm going to talk you through my recent career failures, which is unsurprisingly what embodies the full context of my latest career achievements. Now, transparently speaking, the goal was to get an investment role in private equity, i.e. be regarded as the investment professional identifying, analyzing, and executing on viable investments on behalf of the fund. However, I ended up securing a role in investor relations, where I was essentially doing none of that. So I failed. However, I failed way before I started the investor relations gig. Now hear me out. L number 1 was for a venture capital analyst role for an up-and-coming VC fund. The role was perfect and it had all elements aligned with my goal, identifying, analyzing, and executing on viable investments for the fund. Their strategy couldn't have been more perfect, focusing on the gig economy and what the future of work looks like, which I felt like was a bit of me, since I have a startup dedicated to helping students from non-target universities access early career opportunities in the working world. Quick pluggy. But anyways, I made a few fundamental errors, which essentially cost me the job. I was arrogant and entitled. I acted like I already had the job secured before my first interview. You see, in my consulting gig, I had helped a client launch 2 venture capital funds. So in my head, I was thinking, who's more suited for the job than corporate Steve? And this ultimately led to me not really taking prep seriously. I distinctly remember being outside.
Oh, you want to know where I'm at? We outside!
The night before the interview. Anyways, the feedback that I got was that I needed to do more research around the industry. And they weren't lying, because I remember the specific question that showed I hadn't done my research at all. I was asked to mention a few disrupting startups I had my eye on, and I was just really stuttering.
I promise, like, and even it's been a weird these past few months,
And it was the most embarrassing thing ever.
Are you not ashamed of yourself? Are you not embarrassed? This is really embarrassing.
Needless to say, it was justified why I did not get that job. And it was never to be an L because I was underprepared and did not do the one fundamental thing you're supposed to do for interviews: research.
Stupid.
The next L was an investment structure and associate role for an investment tech startup. What this role entailed was me structuring investment vehicles for VC type investments utilizing technology. Sounds pretty sexy, right? But I didn't get the job, and arguably it wasn't my fault. Maybe. Anyways, I applied for this role because it was an easy LinkedIn apply. I feel like easy apply button is the best innovation in job applications today, considering some company websites still make you upload your CV and then rewrite out again. But anyways, it was a fairly comprehensive interview process, which included a screening call with finance, a 50-question test, which included a bit of coding. Surprisingly aced it with the help of my tech friend, an interview with the structuring team, and then a final interview with the founders of the company. I was on my way to the third stage interview with the structuring team when I got told that due to business priorities, the role was no longer available. Arguably, not my fault, right? But nah, I still consider that an L, and I'll tell you why. This was not the role for me. I had no business applying for this role. It was not aligned with my goal of getting into an investment role where I identified, analyzed, and executed investments on behalf of the fund. However, out of desperation of getting out of consulting and the enticing easy apply LinkedIn button, I applied to a risky tech startup I had no business in the first place. I wasted all my time in an interview process only for the role to be made redundant. So in my humble opinion, that's an L, and I failed. I've saved the most painful L till last because this is one of those that made me question who I am as a person and still haunts me till now, to be honest. During my time at consulting, I made a few connections and built close relationships with some of my clients, one of which turned out to be a mentor and started advising me on how to move from consulting to an investment role. One day, he sent me a job ad for a corporate finance analyst position and put in a good word for me because it was his friend's firm. The role was perfect as it basically entailed supporting private equity firms with the execution of investments and compensation structures for executives involved in leveraged buyout situations. And because it was an advisory role, I would have the luxury of working on a large number of varied transactions to broaden my skill set and expertise. I tailored my CV and crafted the perfect cover letter, which you can actually access if you're a member of the Beyond Education website. Anyways, I progressed to the first stage and this time came very prepared with the help of my mentor. I answered every question to the best of my ability and knew the industry inside out until the second stage of the interview, where I had a technical case study of doing an LBO model and a presentation on a target company. And this is the defining moment where I knew I failed because I withdrew myself from the application. And in other words, I gave up. My mentor spent nights taking me through modeling scenarios and putting in a good word for me, and I gave up. Saying it out loud really hurts, but it's the truth, and it's my truth. If I'm being honest, my principles on not believing in failure still stands, but that's just more of a mindset thing. The word failure to me is just a bit too harsh, and I like to view it more as challenges, obstacles, and setbacks. And you can reflect and take learnings from these setbacks to move forward. Upon reflection, there are a few things I would have done differently. Firstly, really understanding my true motivations behind the goal I set, carefully planning step by step how I'm going to achieve the set goal, acting less impulsively based on logic and not emotion, putting in a significant amount of time to acquire the skill set required, and most importantly, being honest with myself about how bad I wanted it, because evidently, I didn't want to achieve this goal bad enough. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm really serious about what I said, guys, at the start of the video. I've just been like kind of sitting down and reflecting on the kind of person I am and the values I want to embody. And one of that is just transparency, you know. And I just really want to be honest with you guys and open about like, you know, the realities of like me working in the corporate world and like my thought process. And yeah, that's really what I wanted to bring to this video. And if you guys like this video, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. Turn on post notifications so you don't miss a thing. Catch you guys in the next one. Deuces.